There are fires, flooding, and a ravaging health crisis. But the markets just keep going up day after day, week after week. This will be the worst market crash since 1929. I wish it wasn't so, but the Federal Reserve has thrown multi-trillion dollars into the economy. They don't have very many tools left in their toolbox. If the market rolls over soon, the economy will collapse like in 2008. The US stocks are today insanely overvalued and overbought. A heavy correction is imminent. Soon, the market will collapse big time. It seems like all the predictions of the degradation of society we were warned about have come to pass. The US government is viciously pumping the stocks and oil prices as inflation skyrockets. Lumber is back up more than $500. Oil production is at 2017 levels, but the price is at $70. Housing is on average 20% higher. Gasoline is almost $5 per gallon now. Electricity has risen to 30 cents per kilowatt hour. My electricity was just 20 cents per kilowatt hour 2 years ago. Now it has risen by 50%. My water bill has gone up 20% in the last 3 months. USPS is having trouble filling positions. Intel is having trouble filling positions. Starbucks is having trouble filling positions. Wages are going up, the price of goods is going up, and the price of services is rising. This, in turn, leads to a rise in wages, which leads to a rise in prices, and onward. We have a record in the M2 money supply, which is driving the bubble. The Fed is about 6 months behind on tapering the $1.5 trillion per year flood of bond buying. They are well overdue on tapering and need to allow interest rates to rise. Debt is higher than ever. The Fed has destroyed the market, the middle class, and the real economy. This is definitely the biggest Ponzi on the planet. This will hit the fan very soon. The panic will be so abrupt that nearly all of us will find that we cannot get our orders to execute. We will be stuck and have to watch helplessly as our shares plummet. Best of all is when we finally can unload our ruined stocks. The money we get for them will have fallen even faster. A major collapse is incoming. Welcome to the Atlantis Report. You are here for your daily dose of the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Please take a second to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and don't forget to also hit the notifications bell. Thank you. The Fed has destroyed markets by manipulating interest rates and printing trillions to prop up markets. The fact that Fed officials are day trading the stock market is prima facie proof that we are a nation of weak leaders and corruption is so deep. The machine that prints out the paper money, which inflation is eating up, will soon break down. The laws of economics are just like the laws of physics. What goes up will come down. The government keeps feeding fuel to the inflation. The CPI is up 2% in the most recent 3 months. Annualized, that comes to 8% inflation. The PPI is up 2.5% in the most recent 3 months. That comes to 10% annualized inflation. The stock market is looking just like the California wildfires. If every time there is a small burn, and the government quashes it, gives out money and reduces the rate to stop the burn, Eventually, there will be a fire that gets completely out of control and becomes a huge conflagration. Right now, we are seeing the highest M2 money supply in history and seeing surging inflation. The government would need to triple its response to control the raging events. Considering they've been pumping the market with QE for over 10 years, and they know there won't be a losing trade, they should have millions in the bank. If they're really smart, they'll start pulling back on QE and short the markets, and make even more money. In other words, sell everything, as they say. Hypothetically, of course. Their only ethics is to get richer than the rest of the plebs. So I admit that selling to bag holders right before the crash is the right thing to do in such a case. The stock market is losing breadth. Soon it will dive. Yes, prices continue to rise, but growth is saturating. Business costs are rising. Goods and services are becoming more costly. The inflation spiral is very well underway. With record debt and record M2 money supply, the Fed is about 6 months late on tapering the $1,500 billion per year flood of bond buying. This situation is becoming unstable. I hope we can get back to the level of earnings of August 2019. P/E ratio is around 36, and earnings recovery has slowed as wages are increasing. If the Fed raises rates, the P/E ratio will need to drop further, and the S&P 500 will drop significantly from that 2,900 level, probably down to 1,900. That would mean a slump of 58% from where the markets are at today. Most stocks will drop by an even bigger fraction than that, 58%. Beware. This is revolting on so many levels. But it is also laughingly as expected, and very befitting of our abject society that protects and rewards corrupt figures. Western society is in its twilight phase. I've said it before, but central bankers and their families, even distant, should not be allowed to hold financial assets or real estate, all in cash at 0%. Then it will be the end of MMT in a jiffy. The fact that somehow we just found out now is also both abject and hilarious. They have bad timing for monetary policy, it seems, but always great timing for their portfolio. Now they can taper. Anyway, this goes on and has been going on at all other central banks for decades. Banks know very well about this and have been monitoring central bankers' private accounts and their trading activity for decades in order to get a heads up about upcoming decisions as well. Bottomless filth and corruption everywhere. Corruption brings down all empires. I guarantee these deceitful politicians won't have any dollar-denominated investments when hyperinflation hits. They will know long before us when that happens. What is pumping up this economy? And what could honestly make it tank? Right now, the US economy is being propped up by a combination of artificially low interest rates, deficit spending, and consumer debt. There is a historically huge debt load out there, and some economists are worried that it could very well be the next bubble to burst. If you doubt this, remember that the one characteristic of economic bubbles is that nobody notices them until they burst. Remember 2007? Housing, auto debt, student debt, you name it. It's actually frightening to think about what could happen if even a fraction of it is defaulted on. Oh, and please, don't use the stock market as a proxy for the economy's performance. First off, there are scads of better economic indicators. The unemployment rate, the inflation rate, the worker productivity rate, to name just a few. And more than a few should be consulted for a more complete picture of the economy's overall health. Second, the surging stock market only has meaning for investors, not non-investing workers. You're not reaping any rewards without some skin in the game, after all. Finally, investors may very well cash out when they believe there are no more gains to be had, and that may precipitate a decline. If we're really in a bubble, that decline will be steep and sudden. But the sell-off will be an effect, not a cause. Whether or not it will pursue the right policies to prevent it is, quite honestly, anyone's guess. The economic gains are going to the rich, as they have for many decades.